Hello, my name is Denise Anamanu, and I'm here to tell you an important story. A story of corruption, a story of hopeful redemption, and a story of an unjust system.
I am Aaron Bevel. I'm Nosakhare's attorney, his appellate attorney. One of the main contentions in the case, amongst the things about the evidence and the evidence not being actually definitive of his guilt, is the failure of many of the attorneys that he had throughout the trial process. I wanted to talk a little bit about where we are in the case now, where we're going, and of course about what's happened. First and foremost, we are at the level now where we are going to the Michigan Supreme Court, or that's the next level. We went to the Court of Appeals and lost. Unfortunately, one of the things that I realized about the criminal justice system as a whole is that the system's not really set up for justice. It's not set up for truth. It's set up to operate in a certain way so people can just be a part of the system, right? We have all these people who are incarcerated. We have all these people that are reoffending. They're back in prison. They're in and out of prison. And that's a part of how the system runs. The system runs on the fact that those people are in and out of prison. And unfortunately, what that leads to is the inability of the truth to come forward. And this is a case where this has absolutely been what's happened.
On the evening of July 27, 2015, in the Wayne County Circuit Court, a jury found Nosakhare Anamanu guilty of first-degree murder and felony murder in less than 2 hours, without even asking to review a single piece of evidence, statements, or reports. Despite the many hearing inconsistencies surrounding the identification, reports, and evidence in this case.
My name is James Bevel, and I'm Nosa Ananamu's cousin. His mom is my first cousin, my father's niece. This case with Nosa, when me and Aaron were first moving here to Detroit, we were over my cousin Denise's house and Nosa's mom, and she told us about the case, showed us the information and everything that was going on. And Erin, she's a lawyer, she felt compelled when she heard all the information. She felt compelled, being that she is into social justice and criminal justice reform, the justice system. She felt compelled to work on the case. I didn't ask her, Denise didn't ask her. She, of her own volition, she just decided that this was a case, that there was some injustice going on, and she decided to take it pro bono. And her first criminal case, and she's an exceptional lawyer, and she just took the case and just ran with it. And I'm honored that she would do that for my cousin and for the cause of justice.
It all began on March 2nd, 1999, at around 9:30 p.m. when an elderly woman named Miss Helen Kodak from Plymouth, Michigan, was found dead in an alley on the Detroit West Side.
Nosakhare, I call him Nosa for short, very intelligent, has always been an active part of his defense, and I can only imagine that was the case when he had 4 or 5 attorneys leading up to trial, attorneys that didn't move to suppress the evidence against him. The Detroit Crime Lab was closed in 2008, supposedly for only ballistics abnormalities. We have no idea where some of the other things that caused the Detroit Crime Lab to be closed. However, evidence that was kept in that same crime lab is still being utilized in cold cases like this against people like Nosa. But in fact, it's our contention that the most important piece of evidence against Nosa was something that wasn't even a part of the crime scene here. And when you have a crime lab like the Detroit Crime Lab that's been shut down, and there's potential for tampering and contamination and access to evidence that shouldn't have been had access to, you have no idea whether the evidence that you're saying is connected to this crime is actually connected to this crime. There was a cloth glove that was allegedly found on the back seat of the victim's vehicle when they processed the vehicle in 1999, but it was not in any of the evidence reports. There was no report or no physical documentary evidence that demonstrated that this glove was there in 1999. And suddenly, in 2007, there was a glove that was found. In 1999, there were allegations, or they say that was a left-hand glove at that time. Later on, they said it was a right-hand glove. They said that the glove was blue. Then they said that the glove was green. There are consistent inconsistencies on where the glove came from and if the glove was even there. And that glove is the main piece of evidence connecting Nosa to this murder.
A woman named Miss Gwendolyn Gardner came forth March 9, 1999 after seeing the news coverage of Miss Cloak's murder, stating that she saw the victim's car driving down Joy Road at around 12:30 p.m. Miss Gardner gave a statement and identified an individual through a sketch shown by the detective. March 11, 1999, she sat with composite sketch artist Alfonso Tinsley and develops a sketch of the person she alleged seeing with the victim March 2, 1999 at 12:30 p.m. in the afternoon.
The story begins in 1999 when Helen Konak, an 84-year-old woman, was murdered, and it was a cold case up until 2010. And in 2010, detectives came to visit my son, who was in the Michigan Department of Correction for a previous crime, and questioned him about it and took his DNA. And in 2015, he was convicted of first-degree murder of Helen Konak's case. And since that time, we have found so many inaccuracies and so many false documents. So this video is here to expose a lot of the wrongful evidence that was presented before my son, Nosakhare.
One thing we're trying to bring to light is the fact that Nosakhare is innocent. We remain, firm, and we believe in that God will bring to the light that this case will be handled the right way and justice will be served, because he has family that misses him, and we know him, truly know him, and he wouldn't be fighting this long if he actually had done it.
A lot of people end up taking plea deals. Nosa didn't want to take a plea deal because Nosa is innocent. And so he said, I'm not going to plead to something that I didn't do, and so I want to fight this. The evidence that was supposedly connecting him to the crime was found in the murder victim's vehicle. The murder victim's vehicle was not found with the murder victim. They were separated, okay? And there was no sign with the murder victim of, on the car of any of the, this person was unfortunately, bludgeoned and beaten. It was very brutal. But what that suggests is that there's going to be evidence of the crime on the victim's vehicle. The victim was last seen in her vehicle with an unidentified black male. And so, unfortunately, there's this evidence that the Detroit Police Department Cold Case Squad said they ran a DNA test on, and that Nosa's DNA came up on, and that was how they got the case. Nosa was about to be released on parole. He had been incarcerated since 1999 for unrelated crimes, nothing like a murder. And he was about to be paroled for all of his good behavior. He's done all these classes and things to improve his life. Changed a lot of things about his life, and was about to be paroled and have the opportunity to live on the outside. But just about a month before, the Cold Case Squad charged him with this murder.
April 2011, Nosakhare Anamano gave his DNA to the Michigan Department of Correction as required by law when granted parole. In August of 2011, there was a COD hit with many DNAs as a major donor on this glove, which caused his parole to be suspended, and from December 2011 until January 27, 2015, he was subjected to a malicious prosecution and found guilty with fabricated evidence along with altered police reports.
Unfortunately, again, our system is not set up to protect people that are charged with crimes that they didn't commit, that don't have the money to prove that.
The family find this very offensive that this thing is carrying on this long, and it just comes to the fact that the justice system has failed us. over and over again. And as many times, as many appeals as we tried, the justice system has continued to fail us. And right now, we're begging right now for the justice system to step up to the plate and own up to the fact that this man is innocent and he has been sitting behind bars for years. It's not about money, it's just about truth and honesty. So right now, we're just sitting here trying to come together and think about ways to come to grips with freeing this man who's innocent.
You know, he was a great big brother to me. I can remember him, you know, taking me to church on Sunday when he was going to Great Faith Ministries. You know, it ain't too many big brothers that's taking a little brother to church. So I know that's one, you know, great memory I got about him. So, you know, that says a lot when, you know, you taking your little brother to church. So, you know, that was just some good times I can remember about him. He was the glue to the family and still is to this day. You know, even though he's locked up, I mean, we still talk to him. He still give me advice. I try and give him advice. He gives the family advice. We still treat him like our big brother because he is. You know, we just want to get everything going so we can try and get him out of there so he can get back to this family and once again be the center of the family.
On January 19, 2012, the state produced Mrs. Gardner as an eyewitness at the first preliminary examination in the 36th District Court. During this exam, Miss Gardner was shown her own sketch, and she could not recognize the sketch that she did back in 1999. Also, while she was sitting at the defense table, Mrs. Gardner could never identify him as the person she saw, nor did she point at him as looking similar to the suspect as she described in court.
I'm looking for, you know, an attorney who would be able to assist us in our appeal to the Michigan Supreme Court. You know, we have 56 days to do that. And, you know, it's really important that, you know, we are able to present to the Supreme Court all of the evidence. And that includes the idea that, you know, hey, there was evidence that was utilized against this person that was maintained in a crime lab that was shut down for not being able to do exactly what a crime lab does, which is maintain evidence. And forensic evidence. I mean, there are forensic issues that we're looking into now, you know, to raise, to say, you know, to help people realize that just because the case doesn't look the way that they think it's going to look, that doesn't mean that this person is guilty. And, you know, we want to make sure that we, you know, put out a plea to, you know, lawyers all over the state who may have the experience that I don't have, or that, you know, have an eye or a vision that this shouldn't happen to people, that people should have the ability and should have the opportunity to defend themselves, even if they aren't able to afford an attorney, or even if they get an appointed attorney.
One of the things about Nosa that's unique is to be locked up, to be in the situation that he's in, to be in prison, and have been in prison for so long. Every time I talk to him, every time I hear his voice, I hear optimism and positivity, which is a contrast to a lot of people that are so-called free out here and who are constantly pessimistic and doubting life and doubting themselves. And I would just say that, man, that's just a blessing, and I'm honored to have his voice and to have him in my life, to see someone face so much adversity and be against the odds and still hold their head up high and still think positive and fight and looking to overcome the adversity. So I just would like to say, like everyone, to know that Nosa is definitely an example of fortitude in life.
Nosakhare is my firstborn son, and he has truly stood by me as a mother, and he's truly stood by his sisters and brothers. Nosa is a man of character, and we're forming and organizing so that my son can be exonerated from these charges, because I know without a doubt that these mass incarcerations that we are seeing is a new form of Jim Crow. We know that our young people are being hustled into these prisons just like we were hustled onto the plantation.
And I commend Police Chief Craig, who recognized that there were wrongdoing in the Michigan Police Department from the time of 1997, I believe he said, to 2000. that is the time that my son Nosakhare was accused of a cold case from 1997, and from this day to the day 3 years ago this started, we have uncovered so many inconsistencies. We have uncovered wrongdoing. We have uncovered false documents. We have judges who have retired because we have gotten written communication of a conspiracy against my son. How could a jury, seeing and knowing all of the evidence that was presented that was not making sense, you have an eyewitness who said, I saw a light-skinned man with green eyes. And here you have a defendant sitting at the table, a dark chocolate man with brown eyes. That does not make sense.
Chief Craig has indicated that it's important to him that cases that were tried during the time frame before the Detroit Crime Lab was shut down, that evidence is looked at again with a fine-tooth comb to say, did we get the right person? You know, are we doing the right thing? Because just putting someone in prison for a murder just to say that we did that is not supposed to be what our system is supposed to do. Our system is supposed to say, here's what we can do to get to the truth. And here the truth has not been revealed. They've just found a scapegoat. You know, NOSA has essentially been a scapegoat for so the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office can say, we finished with this. NOSA deserves justice. And when I say justice, I mean justice that is rooted in truth. This case has not been rooted in truth, and that is the justice that we seek. I think that NOSA has been extremely involved in his case, and I can only imagine how it feels to be incarcerated for something that you didn't do, and to know that there are things and people working against you and not have anyone listen. And so I hope that throughout the course of this documentary, people can see and hear about the evidence and really think about how this could be possible and realize that this is what our system does and can provide whatever assistance that they can to make sure that this doesn't happen not only to NOSA but to anybody else.
So I employ everyone today. Pray for my son Nosakhare. Lift him up and lift up every young black man that is locked up behind these bars. My heart hurts when I go into visit my son and I see these young black men locked behind these bars. With the legal team that we have, we will bring NOSA to justice because NOSA is such a loving young man. He's got such a bright future ahead of him. He knows what it is he wants to do. And I thank you very much for supporting us in this fight, for helping my son Nosakhare be exonerated from these charges. Thank you.
I sat in a house full of failure and I dream big. I sat in a house full of failure and I dream. Oh, I had a pursuit, having experience. Everything was gone. All I had was myself and my 2 kids, and love to carry on. 'Cause I ain't ever went by what I'm seeing. God is good to me. No money, no house, no car. All I had is a dream, yeah. All my life they said that we be nothing. We threw it back and said that we be something. Single mother on welfare with no job. Dream big, dream big, dream big, yeah. And all the guys locked up going to court, yeah. And all the guys on trial facing some years, yeah. You may think it's no way out, but my God can work it out. No, 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 yeah, yeah. I sit in a house full of failure and I dream. Oh, I sit in a house full of failure and I dream. Dream big. I sit in a house full of failure and I dream. Oh, from the project to the penthouse, to the penthouse, to the palace. You can have whatever you imagine. Yeah, yeah. Ooh, yeah, yeah. Dare to believe in yourself. See the image of it. Your feet will never go where your mind haven't been. yeah, 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 yeah.